Welcome to the podcast from the St. Louis Sportists, an occasionally smart, always irreverent look at sports in St. Louis and beyond. And now, your St. Louis Sportists.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the St. Louis Sportists podcast. My name is Ron Cook, and I am joined by Joe Sperlin.
Good to be here. Good to see everybody.
Keith Farrell.
Cheers, everybody.
And returning from an extended assignment, we are delighted to have back Mr. Tom Mathis. How are you, sir?
Good. It's great to see everybody again. It's been a while.
It has. Doug Lansdowne is taking your place, and he is on assignment. In this edition, the Cardinals hit rock bottom in the Rockies and complete their collapse for the 2025 season. The buying-selling question seems settled for the Cardinals. There's differing expectations for Mizzou and Illinois this fall on the gridiron. And it's time for an update from our friend Khaled Abdallah on the Sacramento A's, Oakland A's, Vegas A's, to be determined. The St. Louis Sportists are brought to you by First Coast Steel Buildings, and we want to remind you of the special we told you about last week for the first time. Jason Sellers and First Coast will offer a 15% discount to anyone impacted by the tragic flooding in Texas. First Coast believes in a family-first approach, and this is one way that they are stepping up to help those impacted by that tragedy. To talk about that offer, or just to learn more about First Coast, you can catch Jason and his team at 912-314-4848 or 1stcoaststeel.com, and we'll hear more from them later in the show. Coming to you tonight from the Local House Bistro studios, there are studio sponsors, and boy, Keith, those slot machines up there are just like an entirely new dimension, aren't they?
This money flies out of those machines, Ron. 100%. 2 for 3. 66% is pretty good. I'll take that.
Now you're getting into free throw shooting as opposed to a batting average like we were talking last week. That's good stuff. So, yes, we now have slot machines at the bistro. There's dartboards, and as always, 7 TVs in the bar area, now 2 in the dining area. And the TVs in the bar area are larger. So come on in, check it all out. Great menu: steaks, fish, appetizers, burgers, pizzas, and lots of apps. So good group up there: Tim, Rob, Holly, Whitney, Darian, Cheyenne, Dylan, Aubrey, and Cooper. And you will find all of them at 16524 Manchester Road. Eat local, drink local, and love local. It's the Local House Bistro. And we start, as always, with our quick hits, Joe Sperlin.
I've got one coming up, a friend we all aware of, Ethan Holliday, who was the 4th overall pick by the Rockies, I believe, 4th, got his signing bonus of $9 million. So congratulations to him. The highest ever given to a...
You could hit the slots up at the bistro.
Yeah, right there. So I think they said it's the 3rd. Some Oklahoma shortstop that's went in the top couple of picks the past couple of years, including the older brother of that. So the Hollidays are doing all right.
Wonder what Christmas is like at the Holiday family.
Very competitive.
How can you outdo mom and dad, number one? And then you got Ethan and Jackson, who are in the Millionaire Club too now. So it just makes me curious.
I think the two families that would be fantastic reality shows are the Hollidays and the Tkachuks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Christmas with the Tkachuks, that would be fantastic. Yeah, and then Holidays with the Holidays. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
Yep.
oh my God.
Nice.
You should go into marketing or something like
Put that in
Ron.
there. Sounds like a marketing guy.
That's good advice, Keith. I'll give that a shot. Mr. Farrell, what's your quick hit?
Well, watching St. Louis Cardinals baseball, and watching St. Louis City soccer, and then there's an obvious, and this isn't a quick hit, but there's an obvious difference in ownership groups in St. Louis. And the direction of City. If you don't perform, you're out. Talk to Carnell and the homeless guy, former coach. And then you look at like the Blues ownership group. There's a plan. You know it. You trust it. You believe in Doug Armstrong. But these Cardinals, man, what are they doing? And that's frustrating to me to watch because their minor league system is atrocious. There's no depth down there. Their major league system is mediocre on its best day. Thank God we have the St. Louis Blues management team. That's it.
Yeah, and by the way, Olaf Melberg was the city coach that we decided. Someone said the way he dressed for games, he looked like he'd slept on a park bench the night before. That's actually kind of true. It's true. Oh, Tom Mathis, welcome back. What do you have?
Excuse me. I'd like to bring up Mizzou basketball for a second. They got a 5-star point guard this week. Pretty good score. They said that he might be in the kind of rival best scorer since Kareem Rush. So that's really something that they need, and I'm very excited to see him another year away, but can't wait to see him join the team.
Yeah, for my quick hit, this is so there's been a lot of talk. Late night show was recently canceled. They're talking about the end of late night shows, and they're also saying linear TV, as they call it, like the main networks might be coming to an end. Fun little stat here. In 2024, of the 100 highest rated programs on television, 72 of them were NFL games. Jeez. Now, Joe, you know my mathematical ability, but I'm going to say that's 72%.
Good job. Excellent.
Yes. I'm rolling sevens tonight. Okay. So coming soon, ESPN is allegedly, I read a couple of places, people said they were inside the 5-yard line on a deal with the NFL, where basically they're going to be buying NFL Network, the rights to Red Zone, and then what they called enhanced gambling capabilities. And they'll offer all that as an add-on for $30 a month. So yet another way for ESPN to get some money and increase their profit stream. I read that in The Athletic, they said that ESPN is wanting to be the one button you will hit on your phone for all of the sports you want to watch and know about. Kind of ambitious.
You may also have to deal with Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith.
You lost me there.
There you go. Don't forget you're paying for that advertisement.
Yeah, you lost me there.
Yeah.
So, but Rich Eisen's coming back to ESPN Radio. He's going to have the noon shift. So,
really?
Yeah, he's going to take the noon shift of ESPN Radio, and he hinted at Sports Center appearances. And so, yeah, I'm sure they'll do their best, probably for what they're spending. There's someone that said we need to find all the ways to use him we possibly can.
I figured ESPN Radio is going away pretty much. They don't seem to push it much anymore.
Maybe this is a way to relaunch it.
Yeah, ESPN Radio, when they got rid of Mike and Mike, they lost it. They lost a lot of fans. I mean, that was the best radio show. Has to be one of the best sports radio show, if not the best in the history of sports radio at ESPN.
Yeah, and speaking of losing it, Keith, your St. Louis Cardinals were out in Colorado today, where they lost a series. And not only did they lose a series, they were shut out by potentially one of the most historically terrible teams in Major League Baseball history. Tom Mathis, is this rock bottom, or do we have new depths to go?
I'm hoping we have new depths to go because we're going to have a bunch of guys traded in the next week or so, and we'll have younger players in their positions. My worry would have been if they would have went and swept these 6 games and thought, oh, we're a contender. We need to buy rather than sell. I'm kind of happy with that. And now they can trade off some of these pieces and not be, thinking that they have a chance at all of contending.
Yeah, speaking of contending, the Cards are 5-13 in their last 18. This road trip, which was a disaster in Arizona, a disaster in Colorado, 1-5, And as we sit here recording this on Wednesday night, they are a whopping 1 game over 500, 9.5 behind the Cubs. Hey, Joe, remember just a few weeks ago when they were getting so close to the Cubs?
Yeah, they were close to the Cubs, and now they're 9.5 from the Cubs.
And 3.5 out of the wild card.
Yeah. And
Tom, it's such a great point what you just made there, because I think they were teeter-tottering on that decision making whether or not they should trade or sell. I mean,
right.
Whether they should bring in people or not. And that clarity is a blessing. This week was a blessing.
Yeah, it really was. It like you used the perfect word. It's clarity. And now they know, that which way they need to be headed, rather than say, we add somebody, we can get into the playoffs, and now they won't have to make that decision.
We said that last week. Do you go for this season or do you look for the future? Well, thank goodness that got answered.
Yes, it did.
It got answered, and part of that answer was in the designation for assignment that was given to Mr. Eric Fetty today. I know a lot of people were kind of hoping that Miles Michaelis would be gone as well, but no, Miles is still there. Fetty, in his last 12 starts, was 0-7. And then this is what gets me, because this is video game stuff. He allowed 93 base runners in his previous 55 innings.
Wow.
Wow. That whip is not very good. That's almost a 2.0 whip.
Whoa.
How are you?
A lot of impressive math going on today, by the way.
How are you not going to? So McGreevy finally in the rotation. Keith Mosaic Extreme. His prayers have been answered.
I think Chaim Bloom probably put a little bit of emphasis on that note when it went down to Memphis. So yeah, I think Mo's done. I think his decision making's done.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see at the trade deadline. I heard people today, it was actually, I forget, I've listened to so many people today, but they were saying that if they do this right, Mosaic is going to get the draft packages and kind of lay them in front of Chaim and say, okay, for player X, this is what you can get. Which one do you want?
Right. Yeah. That's how they need to do it. Yeah.
This isn't boding well, Tom, for Oli Marmol's future as a skipper of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I still think that Chaim's going to want to come in here with his guy. He's kind of sat back and watched. Wouldn't it be interesting about Kevin Cash from Tampa, in here? I mean, Cash has been there for a while. He does some weird stuff, but, he's won at Tampa, and that's not easy. So I can see him, getting rid of Oli after the season and bringing in his own guy. And Oli's not making the decision very hard.
No. Or there's also his old buddy Joe Madden, who spent some time in Tampa too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that makes me sad. I like Oli. I think Oli is dealing with Mo's hand up his rear end, being a puppet for Oli or for Mo. I think Oli is just Mo's puppet. That's all there is to it. And I think the players really like playing for Oli. I see some fight in this team a little bit. Just hate to see the guy go. I can't blame Chaim Bloom for letting him go, but I just hate to see him go.
Right.
Jeff Sperlin, to transfer us, to move us from the Sportists After Dark, where Keith took us.
Oops. Oh,
I can't imagine that this is going to bode well for attendance downtown for the remainder of the year.
Attendance was questionable anyway. School getting started, football getting started. It's very warm this time of year, even at night. I don't know if going to a ball game is what I want to do.
Your point is well taken. Jamie and I were sitting out on the deck last night at 9:30, and I'm like, "This isn't working." She's like, "Yeah, let's go inside."
But you know what bad baseball and warm weather does do? It promotes beer sales, and I bet you the beer sales might outpace ticket sales on nights like this.
And those people drinking those beers handle the losing so well. And then that always ends up well. Yeah, there you go.
A recent spike in crime has accompanied the Cardinals' latest losing streak.
Oh, that go to a Pirates game, and by the 7th inning stretch, it's sell the team.
Don't give people in St. Louis ideas like that, Joe Sperlin.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
Tom, what else you seeing? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, they'll fire certain people. Get rid of this guy.
So, as far as the trade deadline, how far do you go with who you'll trade? I mean, I'm pretty sure that Helsley and Maton and Matz and anybody in the bullpen who can pick up his arm at this point. But do you go deeper than that? As much as I hate to say it, is Donovan a trade candidate? I mean, he's not as young as some of these other guys. Arenado, hopefully they can trade him and get something for him. But, do you make everybody available? And, just
for the future, I think you do. I mean, Helsley, unbelievably, supposedly the top-rated relief or closer on the block.
Right.
Yeah. Somebody is going to panic on that. They always do.
And I read today that the Dodgers just lost a lefty reliever
they did. Ready to say the Dodgers.
So that's going to free up Matz or Romero or somebody.
Right.
Yeah, Bernie has been banging the drum on the fact that Romero has an additional year of control. He's not a free agent immediately after this year, so that could certainly make him more appealing. MLB correspondent at large, Joe Sperlin, what around the league is catching your eye?
As the Cardinals were doing so well and they're playing, the Cubs and the Brewers are probably the top teams right now. Run differential, Ron Cook. I want you to listen to this stat right here. The Cubs are first at plus 121. The Yankees are second, plus 110. The Brewers are third at plus 90. And the Cardinals are plus 2. Yeah. Now, the Colorado Rockies, minus 253.
Ouch.
Well, they put a dent into that this week, didn't they?
Yes, they did. Now, I would also like the tip of the cap to Rich Hill in his 45 years old, pitching for the Royals, went 5 innings, just like they expect everybody else to, and did a pretty good job. Gave up 1 earned run. They got beat, but he did his job. Speaking of old guys, Justin Verlander got his first win in 17 starts, 5 scoreless innings.
I actually watched the 5th inning.
Yeah, every time Justin Verlander, I tip my cap that he's still playing baseball. I could see why it would be miserable for him to go home and see Mrs. Verlander. So I understand why he's still playing baseball. That would just be horrible. Have to go home and spend time with Kate Upton. So
yes. Yeah, no, I was watching the 5th inning of that game, and he got 2 strikes from the home plate umpire that were "You are Justin Verlander" strikes.
Yeah, I'll give that to you.
Yeah, and they were 4 inches inside, both of them. So
hey, before I forget, the catcher's interference, the second time known in Major League history.
And for people who may not have heard about this, the walk-off catcher's interference.
Yeah, sorry, the walk-off catcher's interference. So the Phillies won a walk-off and lost the inside the park home run walk-off.
Wow.
Okay. So I looked up how many balk-offs there have been. 25 known.
Holy cow.
Wow.
Okay? Including the Royals in 23 had 2 in one season.
Oh my gosh.
So there's only known 25 on record. So there you go.
There's Angel Hernandez
for you today.
Angel Hernandez, I bet you, was one of those.
Oh, it had to be.
Yeah.
24 of the 25.
Yeah.
Oddly.
As I used to tell Ron, one of my favorite things to scream, and no matter what level, that's a balk. That's a balk. I don't care if it's 7-year-old coach pitch or the majors. That's a balk.
I think it was Luciano that said he never called any because he didn't understand the rule.
It was. It was.
And, Tom, I guess on some of those calls, I can't have a conversation like this without switching sports and going to our old friend Paul Stewart in the NHL, who once called a penalty shot with 1 second remaining in the game.
Yeah. Paul Stewart would do anything like that because he didn't know the rules. So
I would like a photo shoot with Paul Stewart and Angel Hernandez and just listen to the two of them swap stories. That would be fantastic.
That would be nice. Yeah.
So now that we have covered the national pastime, it's time to wrap up some loose ends. So over across the pond, Scotty Scheffler, Joe, I think I put in the chat, he made it boring.
Yeah. I kind of quit watching in the third round when he got to about 14 or 15, and then it was the morning. It was like, did anyone make a move? No, then I'm not interested. Yeah.
Keith, they're talking about how many majors he can win and how good he's going to be because he's still not 30. He's coming up on 30, but he's not quite 30 yet.
Who's behind him? Like, who's going to catch him? There's no one that has displayed a level of golf and consistency that no one in the game for a couple of years now. And there's been a couple guys that have, kind of, nipped at him a little bit, but my God, he is just on fire. He is in the contention on every tournament that he plays in. No doubt about it. Yeah, I hope that he's good for the game too. He's a likable guy.
Yeah. Tom, it's, leave it to Rory McIlroy to hit a shot and then have another ball magically pop out of the ground. I mean, you always see something. How do these things always find Rory? I mean,
he's always in the middle of it. I don't know how, but he's always in the middle of it somehow. So he was the only one that came to mind who could challenge Scotty, but I don't think he's not consistent enough week to week, major to major. And he's also a little bit older than Scotty. I mean, Scotty's age is going to be what's his big benefit.
The other thing about Scotty is he's like almost his mentality about the golf game. It's like he said, Tiger was such the driven, and it's almost kind of like Scotty's like, yeah, I like to play, I like to practice, but I'm going to spend time with my family. And if I win, I win. If I don't, my family still loves me and I'm good. Let's go on to the next,
Yeah, exactly.
And Tiger had pressure too. Tiger, day in and day out, had pressure.
Yeah.
Or other training in Vegas.
What was that, Keith?
Yeah, or he might have some other training too.
Charles Barkley.
Like in Vegas,
Exactly.
hotel rooms and stuff like that. After hours with Tiger Woods.
You never know.
Indeed. In other loose ends, the Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis is out for the entire 2025 season, Joe Sperlin. Is Cam Ward ready to step in as a rookie NFL quarterback?
I don't think so, but he might do just as good as Will Levis. I mean, there's your chance. You're going to get to see him play. So I would put money on the team winning the least amount of games. I'd put that on Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee is going to be a strong candidate there. And in other quarterback news, let's close the loop on former BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff. He has committed to Tulane after his somewhat noisy departure from BYU.
To walk on at Tulane.
I had not heard that. He is not receiving an offer or NIL.
Well, there'll be NIL, but I guess right now it's just to walk on.
Right. And then, Tom, we eagerly await the decision from the University of Missouri-Columbia on one of their two quarterbacks coming up here at the end of the month.
Yeah, that's from what I've heard. It's been a pretty close competition. I don't know. It's Drew Horn. If he's ready, I think you've got to almost give him the edge just because of he's a better passer. It's a Prubilla. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
We decided it rhymed with fibula last year.
Yeah,
or last week. We're going with Pribula.
Yeah, him. He's more of a runner, so maybe you use him in good spots. But I go with Horn.
Has Horn decided he's staying?
I have not heard a decision yet. He's got till the 28th, so he's got 5 days before he decides to take the Dodgers offer. Now, I have seen some things that say that he can sign with the Dodgers and still play for Mizzou in football.
He can't. The only thing it would affect would be Mizzou baseball next year. He could play with the football team this year, so that would not be affected.
And then finally, The Athletic has come out with their top 10 NFL power rankings. Number 1, no surprise, the Eagles. Number 2, Ravens. 3, Bills. 4, Chiefs. 5, Packers. 6, Commanders. 7, Lions. 8, Texans. 9, Rams. 10, Vikings. Keith Farrell, you see anyone there that you think should be higher or lower?
No, I gotta be honest with you. The preseason rankings, they're hard to, they're just hard. And they're just a list. I haven't had a chance to really review it that closely, but Packers maybe a little high.
Joe, I'm hearing some people say the Commanders might be high and the Lions might be low. What do you think?
I think that list, I mean, that's probably the top 10 teams. I don't think you could argue a lot of those, but, you wait for the preseason games in that week 1 or 2 and see who gets hurt and whatever happens to the NFL script. If the script leak, you would know. So
you wait to see if Jason Sehorn is going to blow his knee returning a kickoff in a preseason game.
Exactly.
And with that, we have wrapped up the loose ends. When we come back, we're going to take a look at college football because guess what? Media days are winding down and we've got some predictions for local teams. We're going to hear from Khaled Abdallah with what's going on out in Oakland. We talked to him, you may remember, in preseason. And Keith and I will talk a little, and I mean very little, city. Is a major departure looming? And right now, we're going to hear from Sandra and First Coast.
Are you in the market for a barn dominium, house, garage, man cave, carport, or hobby shop? Wondering how to get started or where to go? Whatever you are looking to design, look no further than First Coast Steel Buildings. Give Jason and his team a call at 912-314-4848. They will guide you through the process, designing your building to fit your specific needs and budget. Call them today at 912-314-4848 or get inspirational ideas and start designing your own by visiting them at firstcoaststeel.com. Again, that's the number 1, coaststeel.com. Their low-cost buildings are fully galvanized steel, providing you with worry-free, low-maintenance requirements, integrity, quality, and a family-first approach. First Coast Steel Buildings, 912-314-4848 or firstcoaststeel.com. Discounts for military and first responders.
And we are back on the St. Louis Sports Podcast. Joe Sperlin, Tom Mathis, Keith Farrell. My name is Ron Cook. And Joe, college football season is getting closer and closer.
Oh, the media days. Everyone got the media days in, and those are sometimes really good to watch, and sometimes they're really boring. As Lane Kiffin said, all this coach talk, he gets tired of listening to it. But it gets you ready for the season.
It does, and one of the fun things they always do is we get kind of like projections for teams, and very different projections for the Mizzou Tigers and the Illinois Fighting Illini.
Well, unless you're the Big 12, who did not do a poll because it hurt their teams last year, which to me makes a lot of sense. Because you had Arizona State was picked last, and they weren't ranked for most of the season. But, yeah. Hey, Illinois, Ron, like I told you, 10 starters on offense, 9 on defense off a 10-win team. Now, they also now, if you get a portal guy in that was a starter, they're starting to call those guys, yeah, that's a returning starter.
God.
or if they were a transfer portal and they were the number one on the depth chart on spring ball, they are considered a returning starter.
Oh my, that's fuzzy math, as I believe we used to say.
Once again, another math lesson. Yes, if the numbers work, you just go with it.
So, Keith, are the Fighting Illini the fourth best team in the Big 10 or Big 18, as you like to call them?
Well, the big whatever. Yeah, they every publication I looked at, they're 4 or 5. Everyone says the same thing. They're returning 75% of their production. But how can you go that high with that team when they've only, I think this is their second 10-win team in the last 24 years. I mean, you win 10, then you lose, then you have losing seasons. You have 9 win or less losing seasons the next 10 years. So I don't know where that's going to fall. Listen, it's hard to, I mean, you got Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. It's just a crapshoot after that. Does it matter after that? No. And I hate to say it, I'm a big Illinois guy.
And as a big Mizzou guy, Tom Mathis, 12th in the SEC for the Tigers.
Well, I think the one thing that hurt them was the quarterback battle, not knowing who's going to be their quarterback going into the season, and that if they would have that, knowing who that would be, it would probably help them a little bit. But then also, that poll is by the SEC writers, and they still don't know that Missouri is in the SEC. So they're, they really don't pay attention much. So 12th is better than 16. So I'll just kind of leave it at that.
Well, and as Joe and I were talking before we started, they don't play a road game until Christmas, Joe?
Wow. Yeah. They got 6 in a row.
Yep.
So the potential is there to start off well, and for Illinois also a chance to get off to a really good start schedule-wise.
Well, because the Big 18 has that tough non-conference schedule, as has been noted lately. Hey, I love the taunting of the coaches, referring to other conferences, and I think it was Indiana said, yeah, we've taken the SEC schedule to non-conference games about softening our schedule and all this other stuff. And then, I mean, what Bielema did at the bowl game against South Carolina, I mean, unbelievable. I really thought there was going to be an actual brawl during that game.
Yeah.
And I also think Bielema someone said, Coach, I think you probably need to tone it down. And he probably said, you're probably right. So.
Oh, it's something to look forward to. In our other college item I wanted to drop in, Joe, the University of Memphis, currently in the American Conference, not the American Athletic Conference, the American Conference. With a frightening new mascot that looks like an eagle that has been on steroids and hitting the gym very hard.
For Memphis?
Yeah, or no, for the American Conference.
Oh, okay, all right, okay,
yes. So Memphis apparently went to the Big 12 and said, "Hey, we really want to join you guys. We'll really do. We won't take any money. We'll pay you money." And the Big 12 said,
"We're good."
Yep. Thanks, but no.
And we'll even bring our friend UConn with us.
Who can go wrong?
They said for basketball, and the Big 12 said, basketball? Basketball? You're talking about basketball?
Oh my, we live in strange days. Is the Big 12 that confident? Can they be telling people like Memphis, no, you scurry on?
Memphis would have been good in all that mix, but now I think when the dust has settled, smoke has calmed down, there's no other reason to bring in Memphis or UConn into the Big 12. Yeah. To have an odd number team and just to bring someone in, as it says, besides all the money, you don't bring a whole lot for us.
you're not getting a huge market there. Memphis it's not huge. So I guess the only thing that makes it easier to travel to Central Florida, for some of the non-revenue sports, they can hit Memphis and on down to Central Florida. But that's about the only positive.
Memphis would have gotten better to take SMU with them, but that was already a done deal too. And then
Right.
Memphis is kind of stuck where they're at. I love this. The SEC commissioner, when they said, you guys talk about having a super conference. I mean, it was like, we are the super conference. I mean, I love that.
Yeah.
They talk about it. I still say it'll come a day where the super conference will be their own. They will break away from the NCAA, the top 40 teams, 45 teams, and they'll do their own thing. They'll
agree.
get their own TV contract. They'll get all their other stuff and say, we're going to do our own thing for football, basketball. We'll take all the money, and then you other NCAA people do your own thing.
I agree. It won't be that long. I mean, it's kind of what happened, was it in the 80s when they kind of got away from the NCAA, and what did they develop? I forget what they call it now.
The CFA, remember? The College Football Association, for just a brief period of time.
And that TV contract is coming up 2030, I think.
Yeah.
And that's when it will probably happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 2031, we're going to be sitting here looking at a very, very, very new college football world. Speaking of a new world, the Oakland A's are no longer the Oakland A's. In fact, if you look at the standings, they're just the Athletics. And this year they are playing in Sacramento, and we are checking in with our good friend, Khaled Abdallah, who we spoke to in the preseason, who told us some of the things that were going to happen. We thought we'd check in mid-season. So here's a little bit of the conversation that Khaled and I had this afternoon. And joining us on the St. Louis Sportists podcast is our old friend, Khaled Abdallah from Sacramento, California. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back on.
Khaled hosts the fantastic 4040 Vision podcast, and if you have not listened to it or watched it on YouTube, you really need to check it out. He's done some great stuff recently. The one on the NBA I thought was fantastic, and then I also really enjoyed when you went back and looked at Heisman Trophy winning running backs to see how they panned out in the pro.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a great kind of play along at home because you heard the name and then in your mind you were kind of like thinking, okay, good, bad. A couple of them surprised you a little bit.
Yeah, and to be clear, it was just non-quarterback Heisman winners because of Travis Hunter winning it recently. So I was like, you know what, let's see what the track record is for guys that weren't quarterbacks, because obviously quarterback is a much different position in college than it is in the NFL. Whereas receiver or running back, I feel like that's a little bit easier to track or predict. So, but I was pleasantly surprised by how well guys seem to do. If you won a Heisman in college, you're more than likely going to be at least a Pro Bowler at the NFL level if you were not a quarterback, to be clear.
With a few notable exceptions, Mr. Salam, we're looking at you. So obviously you're in Sacramento and you have the A's playing there this year after a very messy departure from Oakland last year.
Yep.
So you were kind enough to visit with us in the preseason and kind of preview it. How have things turned out?
Not great. I'll say that. Thanks to a few other teams that are kind of holding up the standings. They are not the worst team in the MLB. They are the second worst team in the AL, at least. But there are several teams in the NL that are much worse than them. But, as it stands today's July 23rd. They are about 20 games under 500. And, they've gotten some exciting young prospects, some guys that are raking that, we had Brent Rooker in the home run derby, didn't do so bad. But for the most part, just hasn't really gone very well for the A's here in their first year in Sacramento.
I will tell you that Jacob Wilson makes us Cardinal fans feel old because we remember when we traded his father to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So how are they drawing how are the A's drawing in that smaller stadium?
Same idea, right? It's just not going very well. I remember the first week or two, there was a lot of excitement. The first month or two, same thing. There was some excitement around, hey, let's go see a major league team in this minor league ballpark. I made it out to a game. I believe it was in May. It was a midday game against the Angels, so not exactly a top draw. And I'd say the stadium was about 60% full. Tickets were going, at least for that game, you could get lawn seats, which is funny to say for a major league game, but you could get lawn seats for, $10. They were running a promotion. It was like, there was like 4 games. They were mostly afternoon games, midweek games, where they were selling them for about $10. Nowadays, you can still get tickets on, the resale sites, which I think is a better indicator. So if you go on SeatGeek or TickPick or whatever these sites are, you can get tickets again to the lawn for under $20. I looked the other day. I think it was the Tampa Bay, some other teams. Tampa Bay is a playoff team. It's currently a playoff team. They're not one of the more big, notable brands in the league, but you could get tickets for that for about $10. And if it's not the Dodgers, the Giants, the Yankees, the Red Sox, these big name clubs, the Cardinals, you could easily get in for under $15 to these games.
If memory serves, that sounds almost similar to what you were describing for some of the minor league prices to get to sit on the lawn and watch the minor league team that played there before the A's came.
Yeah, the minor league team is still there, to be clear. The Sacramento River Cats, it's the Giants AAA affiliate. They used to be the A's AAA affiliate. They switched over a few years back. And yeah, you could pay those same prices to see a minor league team or a major league team. So it's really up to you. It just depends on the schedule.
Yeah, that doesn't exactly sound optimal. And on the Sportists podcast, we had a little bit of fun with the, I guess you'd just call it photo op out in Vegas when they were announcing the groundbreaking and they had to rent the earth moving equipment because nothing was actually being done. What have you heard about the future of the A's? How long they could stay in Sacramento, things like that?
So the current projection is that they are supposed to be ready to play in Vegas in 2028. So they are planning to stay in Sacramento for 3 seasons. That was always the plan. That at least that was originally pitched. It's funny that you bring up the quote unquote groundbreaking ceremony because there wasn't really any ground being broken. It was an incredible photo op. It looked like it was inside of a conference room or something where they were digging into, looked like my kid's sand pit that's out in our backyard. They did have to rent the equipment for, again, the photo op. And it's really strange. It's like this just incredible propaganda campaign that you're seeing from, if you Google, Sacramento A's or Las Vegas A's current stadium status, you're going to get 2 wildly different messages. The first headline, I Googled the other day after we talked, was from The Guardian, and it said, Las Vegas Stadium debacle. Will this stadium ever be built? And then, the next headline is from, Las Vegas Business News or something like that. And it was top 10 things you need to know about the new stadium in Las Vegas. And they were talking about, throwing numbers around and, it's going to be built on, here and here are the details. And it's going to be a 33,000 seater with the most premium seating of any stadium in Major League Baseball. So it's almost like, how much are you willing to suspend your disbelief that this stadium is going to be built? How hard are you rooting for it to be in Vegas? Or like me, how hard are you rooting it for some debacle to happen and they end up back in Oakland or at least stay in California, in some way? So it's just, the messaging is all over the place and it seems hard to find, the truth of what's actually happening at this point.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't want to bet on it right now, to be brutally candid. So you mentioned staying in California somehow. And when we talked in the preseason, we talked about the possibility of them actually, building a more major league caliber stadium there in Sacramento. And I asked you about going back to Oakland, and you very memorably said, not with this ownership group. What do you think the chances are of either selling the team or building a stadium there in Sacramento?
It's really interesting, right? Because so John Fisher is, the principal owner or the majority stakeholder in the Athletics, and he is also the primary owner of the San Jose Earthquakes in Major League Soccer. And recently in June, they announced that they're putting the Earthquakes up for sale for somewhere between 500 to 600 million, I think is the valuation, which is maybe 10x what he paid for it back in, I think, 2007 as an expansion fee. They have a soccer-specific stadium, which is beautiful in San Jose. It's across the street from San Jose Airport. It's got these beautiful views of the San Jose I think the Evergreen Foothills is what they're called. You get to see airplanes landing. It's a really cool stadium. I'll say that. They also have Bay FC, which is a WSL team that plays there. So if you're buying this team from John Fisher, I assume you get the stadium as well. So it seems like a pretty sweet deal. And my understanding is the motivation for him doing that is to be able to help finance this stadium in Las Vegas, where I think taxpayers, it's supposed to cost 1.5 billion, something like that. And taxpayers are reportedly on the hook for 400 to 500 million of that. So he's got to come up with a little, the rest of it. He's worth somewhere between 3 to 4 billion. He is, if people don't know where he got his money from, he inherited it as part of the Gap family. So Gap, Old Navy, Nano Republic, that whole thing. So that's where he got his wealth from. His wealth, net worth, whatever you want to call it, has taken a big hit recently with all the tariff talk and all that stuff. So there's a lot of questions around, is he going to be able to afford this? Plain and simple. So I think the easier track is, let me just sell, shares of the A's. Let me sell off bits of it, bits and pieces until I'm able to finance it. Or maybe he just decides, you know what, I can't afford this. This is a losing bet. I'm just going to have to sell the whole team. And that's kind of the hope of, obviously, of most A's fans. So it's just, there's so much uncertainty around him, around the future of the stadium, that it's really hard to put your finger on where it's going to end up, in 2028. Supposedly it's going to be in Vegas, but who knows?
Right. So let's assume a best case scenario for fans like yourself out there in the area, which I'm guessing might be going back to Oakland, but you'd need a stadium there, wouldn't you, too?
I mean, the Coliseum is still there, but obviously that's not a long-term solution. Right now it's being occupied by the Oakland Roots, like we talked about in the preseason. The Oakland Soul, their women's affiliate team, has been playing there. They've been having Major League Cricket, I believe is the name of the league. As the San Francisco Unicorns is the name of the local team. They played some matches there, got a good crowd. So it's still there as a temporary solution, but obviously if they are going to stay there long term, they would need to build a ballpark. And there is land and space in Oakland. Obviously it'd be expensive, but you do have a willing fan base. You do have not so willing city council and local leadership. But if it's going to be financed privately, then there's definitely a path for a stadium to be built in the Oakland area, or even in the Sacramento, surrounding area, where at least it's still, a Northern California team.
Right. And you just hit on the point. It's almost like you looked at my notes of there are other cities around the country, like Nashville, that have said, hey, we'd love to have a major league team. Have you heard anything about them possibly, if Vegas doesn't work out, making a much greater geographic move?
Not to Nashville. That's the first I've heard of that. Salt Lake City, or Utah, that's been thrown around. That was a potential temporary home for them. And then Portland is another one where there was some potential for a temporary stay there. They would probably need to build a dome stadium there, similar to Seattle, because all the rain and stuff in the Pacific Northwest. But they need to build a dome stadium in Las Vegas anyway because of the heat. And even in Sacramento, I mean, that's been one of the main complaints of fans and players, is that it gets so dang hot. And, this ballpark is hosting 162 games because they've got the River Cats home games and they got the A's home games. And it's just been a not so pleasant experience for the players there, considering the weather and the facilities.
Okay, so my co-hosts would be very upset if I didn't mention the media shed, the Home Depot $800 prefab media shed. So between that and the players having to go out through the wagon gate to the restroom between innings, it just sounds like there have been some quirks there in the stadium.
Quirks is a good way to put it. So I did see an interview recently with Matt Chapman, who I believe is on the Giants now. He was on the A's for quite a while. So he's familiar. even though he never played, for the A's in Sacramento, he did play probably on a rehab assignment or something like that for the Giants back in the day. So he did say the facilities themselves, like the locker rooms, the weight rooms, all that stuff is nicer than the Coliseum, which is expected, right? The Coliseum is a 60-year-old building.
Low bar.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's not exactly the Four Seasons. But, of course, the main thing you brought up was having to basically go to the outfield to get to the locker rooms or the clubhouse. It just creates like a kind of amateur atmosphere where, between innings or after the game, both teams are going out to the back, or, if you can't even use the restroom and the, behind the dugout. So it just creates this really funny situation. I forget exactly when, maybe a month or two ago, but, the A's manager got thrown out of a game and he had to take the long walk out to left field instead of being able to just go into his dugout and, throw stuff around before sneaking into the clubhouse. So quirks is a good way to put it. I mean, I think the field itself has been holding up okay, despite the pressure that's being put on it with all the extra games. I've heard, pretty bad things about the infield not holding up well for those same reasons, the heat and the additional pressure again being put on it because of extra games. So quirks is a good way to put it.
Well, yeah, we'll just kind of say that. So you've got a couple more years of quirks, I guess, to enjoy. And at a minimum, I mean, the takeaway is somewhere they're getting a new stadium somehow.
That's the hope. I mean, it's just like I said earlier, there's just been this propaganda battle between the two sides. And you can't seem to find the truth. Maybe it's somewhere in the middle where, they are still planning in Vegas, but until, I see a couple of stands being built and, things actually happening, then I'm still going to hold out hope that it's going to go somewhere else. But I mean, again, even if they get, 10% of the way through it, something happens with his financing or he decides to sell, whatever it might be. But there's just so much instability, so much uncertainty that it's hard to really predict where they're going to end up. But for now, they're kind of this vagabond team that's just going to maybe wander the earth. Maybe they'll be like a little barnstorming team like they did in the 20s or something.
There's so many directions this could go. Our sportist Joe Sperlin said that he'll go out there in 10 years and there'll still be like a started shell of a stadium down there somewhere on the strip. But
Sounds about right, yeah.
You never know. I said then it was like the Simpsons monorail episode. So I think somewhere in between there, you're looking at what may happen. Khaled Abdallah from, again, 4040 Vision is the name of his podcast. He's on YouTube. He's on Spotify, all of the other things. It's a great podcast. What do you have coming up? Anything exciting and fun here in the future on the show?
Yeah, so we're coming up on the NFL season, so we'll be doing, our usual over-under podcasts for both the NFC and AFC, trying to do some predictions for the upcoming season. It's a little bit of a slow time in the summer, so we've been working on a lot of what-ifs. We've got last week was, what if Kobe Bryant stayed in Charlotte, which was a fun one. We also did a recap or grading of every single Air Jordan signature shoe, which was a little bit different, so it was a lot of fun. Because it's been 40 years of Air Jordans, which is kind of crazy. And then next week we have what if Steve Young never came to San Francisco, which is another fun one. Again, as a Bay Area kid growing up around the Niners and Steve Young and all that. So that was a lot of fun.
That is indeed. Khaled, thank you so much for your time. And hey, can we catch up with you after the season to kind of see what's next and where we're going?
Yeah, hopefully there'll be more than a photo op when it comes to the quote unquote groundbreaking. So we'll have a little more clarity on where this thing's going.
Indeed. Khaled, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate you.
I thought of the old Tommy Lee Jones line from The Fugitive. My, what a mess. Keith Farrell, what the heck? Did baseball... You've talked before about things being good for the sport. This can't be good for the sport.
No. It's just an absolute catastrophe that's going on out there. And, you almost feel like there should be a camera following him around so that you can catch him in something said bad like they did with Mark Schott and force him to resign force ownership to sign or something like that. It is bad for baseball. I mean, there's no competitive bounce when you talk about the Oakland A's. And it's when you're talking, it's like Major League, the movie. It really is. And
I hadn't thought about that.
It's an absolute joke. And what a storied franchise that this guy has run into the ground. It's just sad to see from a baseball who loved for a guy who was a baseball purist who's watched the Canseco days and McGuire days and the La Russa days and the Eckersley days. And I wasn't around for Vita Blue and the Reggie Jackson, but there's an era out there that loves the A's. And what does this do to that franchise for the next generation? It's trash.
Yeah. Yeah. And Joe, you said that you'd seen some updates on the Vegas stadium.
And I can't remember the group that did it, but they put a as they called it, the Vegas Stadium Cam, I think, and they kind of post what it was, the work that went on it, and they said all they're doing is moving the dirt from back and forth. There is actually no construction going on.
I'd like to get a job like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom, if you were a betting man, as I said to Khaled, I wouldn't bet more than a shiny nickel on the outcome of all of this turns out. But 2030, let's go to where we were on college football. How do you see this shaping out for the Athletics?
The best thing for me, in my opinion, my hopes is that the owner now is forced to sell, and they find another owner and he can work with the city of Oakland and build a new stadium in Oakland. That's probably where they need to be. The best market. I mean, it doesn't sound like he's going to get a stadium built in Vegas within the next 20 years by just moving dirt from one side of the park to the other. So, but you know who is to blame for all of this, the whole situation in Oakland? That is Al Davis. Because when he moved the Raiders back from Los Angeles, the city of Oakland sold their soul. And now, the A's and the city's dealing with that. And I mean, what they did to that stadium when he moved back was horrible.
I love that the A's had a promotion a couple of years ago, and they actually used the phrase Mount Davis in their promotional materials.
Yep.
So we will see how that comes out. And speaking of things coming out, Keith, St. Louis City lost 3-0 at Dallas. Joe, that was the game that I told you Dallas was actually worse than us, and we lose 3-0 on the road. City is now 2 points ahead of the last place Los Angeles Galaxy, 6 points out of the closest team ahead of it, and 11 points back of the last playoff team. Playoffs, I think, if you're a reasonable person, you can say are gone for this year after ownership said they wanted playoffs. Keith, we're hearing late reports that Klaus might be on the way out. Is that good, bad, or indifferent?
I think it's needed. He's been with the franchise from day one, and the team goes by the way Klaus goes, as we've seen from year 1, year 2, year 3. And, to win games, you need goals, and you can't score goals when your arms are up in the air. Listen, Klaus was good for St. Louis, and it's just time for a change. He said it himself after Melberg hit the road. He's like, this is a high accountability, situation right now, and the players are in that same boat. And I think, God, I hate to say that 22,250 fans every single night are seeing the same thing, but I think he realizes it too. I think the pressure, he's feeling it, and it's time for a change with some on-field personnel, with some higher paid players, and it's time to move on.
And I was just getting ready to drop the Tom Petty line there. It's time to move on. And speaking of moving on, we are moving on to the last call, brought to you by the Local House Bistro. Joe Sperlin, what do you have?
I even hate to bring this up, but Keith has brought this group up before, and I'm just going to say this. If the WNBA players want what they think is owed to them, and they hold out and quit playing, it will be a historical, monumental of what they have a good thing going, and they're going to just crush it. So that's all. You know what? And that's all I've got to say about that.
I forget if it was the Babylon Bee or some respected outlet like that had a NBA, someone dressed as a WNBA official and said, WNBA players now owe management $148,000 each.
They have not made a profit, and they finally got a good thing going, and they're going to crush it. Because according to Angel Reese, we will sit out and not play. Great idea there, Angel. You're the spokesperson for the WNBA. Keith, that's all I've got to say about that. I'm not saying any more. I just kind of laugh about it. But
first of all, who's going to notice? You know?
Excellent point. Excellent point. If a WNBA falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it.
The NBA, who's been subsidizing this disaster of a league for 15, 20 years now?
Oh, more. Keith, it goes back to like 95 because Norm
I was
McDonald
going to say 30, I think 30 or 40 years.
Yeah. So the WNBA has been subsidizing this disaster. Kudos to them, for trying it out. But I think their accounting department is not going to be too upset when this thing goes under.
No. And then the other thing that I did not know until I saw today was that Caitlin Clark can't shoot from the outside on the road. She's got some abysmal 3-point. She's 4 for 35 on threes on the road. And I'm like, heck, I could maybe hit. Tom, I know you could. You always had the outside shot. I think you could hit more than that.
I probably could, but it'd take me a couple days to get.
She's doing that in an NBA stadium with 25, 30,000 people watching her. They don't care.
That's true.
That's true.
But they've never made money. Anyways, that's all I've got to say about that last word.
That's quite a last call there. Mr. Farrell, what do you have?
Well, I'm going to reflect on some Cardinals stuff here again. I'm going to rewind the clock to 2023 and talk about trade deadline stuff. Do you remember Jack Flaherty, Jordan Hicks, Jordan Montgomery, and Paul DeJong, and the load that we got from them? And who's actually meaningful today? Matt Swapson, who's on the active Major League roster right now. He seems like he's got some pretty good upside.
Yeah, doing pretty well.
Thomas Sajasi, John King, and that's really about it. We got Tekoa Roby. I think he's doing well down in AA Memphis.
Can't stay healthy.
AA Springfield. Can't stay healthy. But you remember Cesar Prieto and Drew Rahm and Zach Showalter and Kloffenstein and Sam
Robersi. He's on the 40-man roster. Did you know that?
Yes. Oh, my God.
Kloffenstein's out of baseball.
And John Mozeliak, and this is the reason why Han Bloom is in your back seat, ready to take over the driver's seat. So,
adult supervision necessary.
Yeah.
Wow. Tom Mathis.
We got Swanson
hang on.
Paul DeJong. We traded Paul DeJong. We got Matt Swanson, who might be their best asset out of that whole trade. Unbelievable.
By the way, if you want to have fun with wins above replacement, compare Paul DeJong's WAR to some other people on Baseball Reference. It's because he hit for power at a value position. So, yeah, that'll drive you nuts. Okay, Keith, are you unwound at this point?
No, my blood pressure. I gotta go take that when I get home.
Okay, that's good, Mr. Mathis.
So, since I wasn't here last week, my last call is going to be a little bit older one. and that is the Blues not renewing the contract of John Kelly. It was a very sad moment. John Kelly, JK, is kind of Blues royalty to me because of his dad, and just how long he's been with the organization. And just that whole thing really upset me. Keith said earlier, that they always operate with class. And this is the one instance that I think that they missed it. And I know they're saving some money, and it comes down to FanDuel Sports a lot too. But, I'm just really, really upset about the whole situation. So I wish they could have handled that better. Probably give him another contract and he might have been done. But just to let him go, it's a sad moment.
Yeah, and the messaging around it was so horrible, and I didn't realize this until someone broke it down for me, because sometimes I have to have things explained to me. And they made a big point of saying this was not a cost-cutting move. And I'm like, why would that be part of their messaging? Because if you think about it, if it wasn't a cost-cutting move, were you saying he wasn't doing a good job?
Right.
Everyone loved the guy, so that was.
And a couple years ago they let Panger go, and now they let him go. And when Pang left, the broadcast dropped a ton, in my opinion. Yeah. And now, I like Curbs, but him and Vitale, sometimes they go off on the tangent, and I don't think they know there's a game being played.
Well, I was just going to say that you can go 3 game minutes without having an idea who has the puck or where the puck is.
Right.
But you've learned a good red sauce recipe or something.
Or you think Sidney Crosby's playing in the game, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, I agree completely.
That's great. Yeah, you're right.
It's been handled horribly by the Blues, who very rarely do I say something is handled horribly by the Blues, but that is. And my last call is the fact that if you want to go see the North Carolina Tar Heels and Bill Belichick and potentially his young lady friend, well, you're going to be doing it on the secondary market, because guess what? The Tar Heel football is sold out for the upcoming season. So that has to be part of what the good folks at North Carolina were hoping for when they brought him in. The excitement's definitely there. One thing that I did not know, Joe Sperlin, was this has happened in 2 previous seasons, both of which were the return of Mr. Mac Brown.
I was getting ready to say, hey, and if you can't get tickets, please contribute to the NIL fund.
Some of these NIL things are just appeals for cash are a little bit interesting. So yes, high times, good times there for the North Carolina football program. And we want to thank all of you for joining us. We'd ask that you would like, rate, and follow us. We're on X, Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram. And our website, if you ever want to find an older podcast, is stlsportists.com, just like it sounds. And we want to thank you for listening. We'll be back doing this again next week. Joe Sperlin.
Enjoyed it as always. Good to visit with you guys.
Keith Farrell.
See you next week. Cheers, everybody.
And Tom, we hope your next assignment is not nearly as in-depth.
It will not be. Hopefully everything is straightened out.
Outstanding. See, he has straightened out his loose ends, Keith. It all flows together.
I'm still figuring that out, Tom. We need to get together after this.
And we again thank all of you for joining us this episode of the St. Louis Sportists. Until next time, take care.
And that wraps another episode of the St. Louis Sportists podcast. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest episodes. You can find these guys on all major podcast platforms. And thanks for listening.